Hi everybody, welcome to the next step of our research project on Edgar Allan Poe, attempting to answer the question, did he have a mental illness? If you're watching this video, you've already created a ProQuest eLibrary folder in your Google Drive, and you've got 3 sources on depression in the ProQuest eLibrary folder. You will need to go to Google Drive and find that folder with those 3 articles in it at this time. Pause your video and come back when you are ready for the next step. I recommend using Google Classroom to find your Edgar Allan Poe research notes. Open that up in another tab as well. So you'll have one tab with your articles, one tab with your notes, and you're going to be going back and forth between these. So now that we have the research and we have the citations and we have highlighted everything, what we have to do now is get the highlighted information out of the articles and into the note sheet. So this is where the tabs come in. You can see I'm switching back and forth. Okay, so in my ProQuest eLibrary folder, I have dealing with the depths of depression. So I'm going to go ahead and open that one up. And if you remember from the other video, I had shown you how to get the citation out and then what to highlight. So what I want to do is get the citation and all the highlighted things, copy them, and paste them over here into the note sheet. You may have done this pasting already, so if you haven't, then you'll want to do it, but if you have, just watch and make sure you did it correctly. If you remember from the other video, I had said that this sentence about a predisposition and life stressors can cause a disease such as depression. So I want to go ahead and copy that, and then I'm going to put it right here where it says information used direct quotes. Okay, now here comes the most important thing that you cannot forget. When you paste something off of one of your sources, you have to go over here to the in-text citation and put the author's last name. We don't have a page number for this, so all we need is the author's last name. Not first name, just last name. And if you want to, you can even put the parentheses, because you remember that in-text citations are in parentheses. Okay, so the quote directly from the source, copy paste, the in-text citation, which is the author's last name. Okay, you go ahead and pause this video, find all of the highlighted quotes from the article dealing with depression, and when you've got them pasted in with the citation, come back to the video. Okay, if you're back in this video, that means you've got the 3 quotes copied and pasted off depths of depression, and you've put them into your note sheet, and you have Nordenberg 3 times for each quote. Okay, now we're going to go ahead. Okay, click that one. I finished that one. And we have one that's called depression. Okay, so we're going to do the same exact process again. First, we're going to take the citation on depression, and we're going to get it into the works cited up here. Now, here's where you have to really pay attention. The citation on the depression article starts with an article title, Depression. D comes before N, so I paste it just like that. Citations in a works cited have to be in alphabetical order. So I'll go ahead and take my first highlighted quote out of the depression article, copy, and paste it onto the note sheet. Now, in the other time we pasted, we used the author's last name, but this does not have an author. So I need to use the article title, which is just depression. Okay, and I am going to use quotation marks and parentheses. Notice there are no quotation marks around Nordenberg because that is an author's name, but depression is a title, so I do have quotation marks and parentheses there. Go ahead and pause that video and get all of the quotes from the depression article. Now you might have to insert a row. To do that, you just right click on your keyboard, insert row below to get some more space. Okay, pause the video and do that and come back when you're done. Okay, if you're back to the video, that means you've got all of the quotes from the depression article pasted into your note sheet, plus you have the title depression for the in-text citation with every quote. This is absolutely crucial. You cannot forget this step. It has to look exactly like mine. So pause if you need to and check to see that your document looks exactly like my document. If you're happy with that, then you're going to go to the Educate Yourself About Depression, and you repeat this whole entire process. Now, if you remember, I said that the citations have to be in alphabetical order. So this one starts with E, Educate Yourself. Again, there is no author. So E for educate comes after D for depression. So there we go. See if you can figure out what the in-text citation would be. Pause this video and repeat the process, and then come back to it and check to see if you were right. Okay, if you're back to the video, that means you have found all the highlighted and important information from the article Educate Yourself About Depression. Remember I said see if you can figure out what to put in the in-text citation box. Hopefully you put the article title. Notice there's no period here. It's just parentheses, article title, parenthesis. Okay, now that you have all the information pasted and you have all the citations pasted, the next step is to write summaries or paraphrases. We did this when we were reading The Cask of Amontillado, and we had to pick out some sentences and rephrase them, put them in our own words. Now, a couple of things you want to remember is putting information in your own words in your own word order. So, when I read a quote, to paraphrase it, I look and see, first of all, are there any words in there that I would not use myself, that I don't typically say? So, or maybe I don't know what they mean. So we'll go through the first one together. When combined with a biochemical or genetic predisposition, okay, predisposition is a word that I probably wouldn't use in my everyday life. So, or maybe we don't know what it means. So I'm going to go ahead and pull it down here. You can keep it highlighted if you want to, or you can change it. And I'm going to make a little word list. What does predisposition mean? So if you don't know, quickly open up a little tab. Yeah, you got to spell it right, Mrs. Bainey. Okay, and just Google it, predisposition. And it tells you a liability or tendency to suffer from a particular condition. So a tendency. Okay, I kind of know what a tendency is. It's kind of like a likelihood. Okay, oops, spell that right. So a tendency is like being likely to do something. Okay. Let's see. Life stressors, such as relationship problems, financial difficulties, death of a loved one, or medical illness, may cause the disease to manifest itself. Okay, well, what does manifest mean? Again, if you don't know, you can Google it. You can also use dictionary.com, but for the basic definition, clear or obvious. That's probably not it. Manifest is used as a verb to display or show. Okay, that sounds good. To show. Now in my middle box is where I need to put this in my own words. So let's see. I tend to start at the bottom of the quote. So if the quote ends with the disease will manifest itself, then I'm going to start that way so that I get my own word order. I have some of my own words, but now I got to get them in my own word order. So I'm going to say something like the disease of depression may show, instead of manifest, show where? Like show in a person's life. See, I'm adding some of my own words. If they have, okay, it says combined with a genetic predisposition and life stressors. If they have a genetic, there's really no other way to say genetic, tendency and I don't want to say combined because combined's over here. So I'll just say if they have genetic tendency and life let's see, stressors. How about stressful events in life? It's really important that you understand what the quote is saying before you come over here and try to paraphrase it. So that requires you to break down a lot of the vocabulary and a lot of the sentence parts and try to figure out what is that really saying. So now this is a paraphrase because it's in my words. I used tendency instead of predisposition. I used show instead of manifest. And it's in my own word order, but it means the same thing. So therefore, it is an accurate paraphrase. The disease of depression may show in a person's life if they have a genetic tendency and stressful events in life. Now, if I wanted to, there's a list here. I could make this a separate sentence. Stressful events include things like, and if there's a list and I can't really put in my own words, sometimes I just put it in a different order. Medical illness, death of a loved one, financial, instead of difficulties, I could say problems, or relationship problems. Or I could say financial or relationship problems. Okay, now that was a lengthy process to get 1 or 2 sentences written, but you should pause the video and do the same thing. Okay, now I'm going to come down to the next section and I see depressed mood and recurrent thoughts of death. Let's see. These are 2 very short things. I could decide, do I want to write them each in a sentence or can I combine them in some way? So first, I'm going to say, what does recurrent mean? I can't start over here, pretend I didn't do that, until I know what recurrent means. So again, I'll just search that up. It means occurring often, repeatedly. Oops, so if something is recurrent, it's repeated. So now I'm going to say people with depression. I want to say something about mood. Are often in a depressed mood and think repeatedly think about death. Okay, so I didn't use recurrent and I didn't use thought. I said think and repeated. Okay, and I combine these 2 so that it's kind of original in my own ideas. Okay, pause and do that. Okay, if you're back, you're ready for a few more examples of paraphrasing. Depression exists when feelings of unhappiness intensify and daily life becomes difficult. Okay, so feelings of unhappiness, sometimes I can just do something like this. Feelings of unhappiness is the same thing as unhappy feelings. I don't need to Google that. I know what unhappiness is. But I don't want to say it in the same way as the original source, so I have to think of a different way to phrase it. Intensify, that means to get worse. So I kind of already know what that means. Okay, in my paraphrase, it says daily life becomes difficult. Okay, I want to start at the end of the original quote when I can. It doesn't always work. So I might say something like, when, instead of daily, I could say everyday life becomes hard instead of difficult. And people's unhappy feelings get worse. They may have depression. I'm not even using the word exists, I'm saying have instead. When everyday life becomes hard and people's unhappy feelings get worse, they may have depression. Okay, let's do another example. Pause that as needed and come back. For example, there may be a persistent sense of foreboding and repetitive worrying thoughts. People with depression may also misuse alcohol or other drugs. Okay, so immediately you're going to start noticing vocabulary like persistent. You're going to figure out what persistent means. So hopefully by now you were going to guess what I was going to say. Continually, firmly. Continuing to exist or endure over a long period of time. Okay. Existing, you could also do continuing for a long time. Okay, so a persistent sense is a sense that exists for a long time, and foreboding is a feeling that something bad will happen. If you didn't know that, you could Google it. Repetitive worrying thoughts. Well, you probably know what repetitive means. It means repeated. They misuse alcohol and other drugs. That's a separate sentence. I might save that one for next. Okay, so now I got to get this into some kind of paraphrase. Again, I try to start at the end. Repetitive worrying thoughts. Okay. People with depression. And I'm going to use may and might because not every person is the same. People with depression might have repeated thoughts of worry instead of worrying thoughts, and a feeling that something bad will happen, that continues because it says persistent. A sense is a feeling, so that continues for a long time. People with depression might have repeated thoughts of worry and a feeling that something bad will happen that continues for a long time. My second sentence says people with depression may also misuse alcohol or other drugs. I might say drug and alcohol abuse are often a sign of depression. So I changed that a little bit and said a sign of instead of that they may misuse. So drug and alcohol abuse instead of misuse are often a sign of depression. And now those two sentences are in my own words with my own order. Okay, pause this video and get those paraphrased as needed. Okay, now that you've gotten some examples of how to paraphrase, I think maybe you're ready to try it on your own. So pause this video and do some of your own paraphrasing. See if you can get all of the rest of these quotes paraphrased on depression, and then come back and check your work against mine and see if you were pretty close. Try to do it on your own. Don't just watch me and quote unquote get the answers, because that's not going to help you develop a skill on your own. Okay, so try it and see how you do. If you're back, you've probably spent hopefully about 10 minutes going through paraphrasing and trying some of these paraphrases on your own. I'll quickly read to you the paraphrases that I wrote, and maybe you can check your own work. So I think we were right around anger. People with depression may feel angry. That was a hard one to paraphrase. It's only one word. They may have a greater fear of failure or the expectation that something bad will happen in their lives or in their relationships. Notice I didn't say worst case scenario. That would be plagiarism. I'm trying to put this in my own words, in my own word order. While people with depression may have episodes of anger or a bad temper, they tend to feel bad about it, which makes their depression worse. People with depression may be very disapproving of others and of themselves. They don't experience any good things in life or see good in others. Pause this video as needed and finish or improve your paraphrases. Once you have completed this aspect of the assignment, you are done with this part. Make sure all your work is correct, and I will go on to the next part in a future video.